We are so excited to interview one of our amazing members of our leadership team. Here we are with Wilderness Reboot's Culture and Community Development Director, Jack Sweeney, and a personal friend of mine. Welcome aboard, man. How are you?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks for that intro. It's great to see you as always.
Where are we right now in the world?
Oh, we're in Kansas City.
There we go. Jack is usually found, I feel like, in a Sprinter van. Like, I don't know, you're guiding and traveling everywhere, and I'm not surprised that you're. I think I was just talking to you like a week ago, and you're in Montana.
Yeah, and a couple cities in between, but got the van parked out front right now and taking it easy for a few days.
Right on, right on. Well, a lot of our listeners are curious about Wilderness Reboot, what it's all about. Um, as we've talked more and more about this transitional support community for wilderness therapy alum, I thought it'd be awesome if we could kind of showcase you and how you've helped in this project and kind of just tell us a little bit about yourself, Jack.
Yeah, so I've been a part of this project for about 6 months now, and I've worked in all sorts of outdoor industries. I've done a lot of outdoor education, leading students on backpacking trips, rafting trips. I've been a commercial rafting guide on both multi-day and single-day trips, and have worked with leading some conservation groups as well, building trails and planting native crops. So I've worked in a lot of areas of the outdoor industry, and kind of spread my talents all throughout. Just really trying to get a feel for what fit in well, and one of those paths led me to work in wilderness therapy as well, and that's where I met Mark down in Costa Rica at a wilderness therapy program down there. So yeah, I really enjoy working in the outdoors and teaching students new skills, getting them outside their comfort zone, and really pushing them in new environments, and watching them thrive and really learn these new skills, and hopefully take them back into their life at home and be able to apply them there as well.
Right on, right on. And so, like, when Jack's, off shift, what can we find you doing? Is there anything that like you're super into now? I know you were a raft guy for many years, and is there anything that you're into now? Still guiding or?
Yeah, well, one of the great benefits of guiding is a lot of time off, whether that's in between shifts or in between seasons. Um, so yeah, I definitely like to fill that time with my hobbies and a lot of water related hobbies. I've been getting into the obscure sport of riverboarding, which is pretty fun. It's just boogie boarding down a river, and um, really enjoying that, and checking out all the great kind of man-made and natural surf parks around the U.S. have been a hobby of mine recently. So either trying to surf on a surfboard there or with the boogie board, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy hiking, backpacking, riding my bike around town. Um, Playing frisbee golf in the woods, and playing soccer when I'm in a city, anything to really kind of get me outside, get me active, really enjoy. And yeah, I've been trying to get into new hobbies like foraging while hiking, things to do kind of together while I'm doing those things. And um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if that
Well,
works.
thanks so much for sharing a little bit about yourself, Jack. We're so stoked to have you, and just personally myself, just having a friend in on this project, just giving so much value. And I know so much experience you've had, just like with your, medical training and all your guiding experience, and just like to be competent in this field, you have to have a lot of experience and see a lot of stuff. And I remember just loving that about you, working with you in the field. And so here we are now diving more into Wilderness Reboot, this transitional support committee for Wilderness alumni. Tell us a little bit about your role as the culture and community director.
Yeah, I kind of see myself as kind of extending that community that we know exist in wilderness therapy programs that students feel so strongly about, that many mention is some of the greatest benefit to being in wilderness therapy is that community that they form with the other students. And I see myself kind of in this role, as really trying to bring over those same communities, those same principles, into our platform, and provide these students with um, a great community for them to share their experiences, to interact with other people with the same experiences, and to share advice as to, how to deal with troubles when they're out of wilderness therapy and back home. How to use the same skills kind of that they picked up within wilderness therapy.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you can, speak to it as we've worked with so many groups in the field. Like, you just see so much breakthrough, right? You see so much challenge. And, I think kind of that role as a wilderness therapy guide, you're kind of just like mirroring, holding space, helping students navigate and just process kind of what they're there working on. And it's such a cool, unique job. I'm sure we always like come together and laugh and joke about like people who are curious about what we do and kind of how we do it. And I think it's such a cool role that you're taking on, because I remember seeing you in so many groups just I don't know, just helping members really thrive and create just a good group culture. I think we know as guys, you can see some groups kind of turn south, and there's just natural stages of group development, and certain members can change things up. And so like, I'm sure we've seen a lot of great groups and maybe some groups that need a little bit more facilitation. Like, in your experience, have you seen maybe some things that like definitely works, or maybe things that don't work that you're trying to kind of bring to our community?
Yeah, every group is a little different with that, and some kind of take a lot of direction from guides, and others kind of build those communities all on their own. And um, yeah, I think the things we try to do at Wilderness Reboot is, we really want to make sure that our students are coming to us and that they're bought into what we're offering, that they share the same goal as kind of the other community members. And with that, we know that we're all kind of striving for a similar purpose, and um, it's easy to recognize kind of those who aren't uh, striving for that goal, who are kind of bringing us away from that. So those are the kind of things that will detract from a group. Um, Other things that we want in our space is, for everybody to feel safe and for it to be a space where people feel that they can be vulnerable and are vulnerable with each other, to kind of share in those stories and those experiences that they had in wilderness therapy, and hopefully learn from each other. Um, we think a huge part of having a good group culture is to have healthy communication between the group members, to be able to share feedback with each other, um, and to just have an open and honest space where people feel like they can be themselves, but also challenge others to kind of be the best version of themselves and hopefully strive for that themselves. Um, Other things that we like to look for and like to kind of promote on our platform is good expedition behavior, which can look a little different when communicating with somebody online. But remembering that the other member on the other side of the screen, that they're also on the same journey as you are, and that they might need support in certain ways. And if you can give that support to them, then it'll help us as a community reach our goals even quicker. So those are the kind of things that we really want to kind of build that good group culture. Um, and of course, we don't want uh, the things that kind of other things that don't help are, if someone's just really kind of focused solely on their own goals and not, yeah, just not, they don't have full commitment to the goal that we all share.
Right. Yeah, and I think like you touch on some really good points. Like, I heard like exhibition behavior. That's a common word in the backcountry, and this kind of line of work. Feedback is a big one, just like healthy communication, making sure it's safe to be vulnerable. And like, yeah, I think if you don't have those ingredients, you're not going to have a culture where people can come together and bond. And ultimately, I think some of our job as guides and instructors, facilitators is helping those students make those connections and helping them process that and helping them with the language and how they communicate. I feel like some of the biggest lessons that students I've at least witnessed learn in wilderness was just like getting feedbacks from guides or getting feedback from other group members of how they come across and their communication and them connecting it maybe to how they communicate with their parents back home or friends and things like that. And so you touch on some really good things. And so with that being said, with buy-in and commitment and coming together, because this is really such a unique tribe. Like, it's wilderness therapy, not everyone does it. It's a 90-day experience that can be so life changing. Then you come home. Sometimes some students have connections with alumni and the programs, but generally speaking, in a more uniform platform, in a transitional capacity, um, we find a lot of alumni kind of going home and kind of being alone. And yeah, taking those skills and those tools and those lessons learned from winners, sometimes they're kind of left by themselves. So, that kind of leads into my last question with you, Jack. It's like, how do you think we can create, the same type of that culture in wilderness now on a transitional support community that's maybe more virtual? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and you made some really good points there. And there is a lot that is kind of left behind at the wilderness therapy program, so to speak. And having been a student on many wilderness expeditions and having been a guide leading many wilderness therapy students, it's kind of a common thing that I think we all see is, um, you know, we've learned to do all these skills, to practice these skills, and keep these routines, and it can be really challenging when we go home and we meet our old friends again, and maybe we're tempted into some of our old habits, and really quickly we lose all the habits that we formed in wilderness therapy, and we lose the community that we just spent up to 90 days or more
Right.
building. And that's really tough. And even if there are certain members you can reach to in those times, or other members, if you are at a transition or a traditional transition program that you can talk to, it's really tough when you're kind of separated from the people that you built those bonds with. So what we're trying to do is build a community for wilderness therapy alum that they can join, even as soon as they get out of wilderness therapy, up to maybe years later when they feel like they've kind of forgotten some of the lessons, and build a network of people who can really help to encourage and give advice and remind people of those lessons they learned and kind of the skills they picked up in wilderness therapy. I think as guides, we've seen that some of the biggest differences, if not the biggest difference to individual students, is the community members. It is the other individuals in their group and kind of the feedback that they give them and the challenges that they give them, the lessons that they kind of all share with each other throughout the way. And what we're looking to do is build that community when they get home, something for them to fall back on and communicate with people who have been through a similar experience, who know kind of the similar lessons and values that are needed, and can help encourage each member to achieve whatever goal they have once they get home. Some other specific things that we like to do are, we keep a similar routine that some of the students have in wilderness therapy. So, with a morning, night meeting, kind of check in, open video calls for students to join and kind of share just like they would in wilderness therapy. Um,
Nice.
different, yeah, and we have different group calls that are kind of specific to some members or others that members can join whenever they'd like, and kind of learn either on a specific topic or just kind of share how they're feeling. Um, and then we have, um, different levels of engagement that we encourage the students to participate in, like sharing stories from the fields and really just kind of sharing with each other and inviting new members in, welcoming them to the community and kind of sharing stuff that they've picked up along the way.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I like what you said about just creating a place where people can come together and reconnect with those other members that they remember just having such crazy experiences with. Because I think even as like guides ourselves and just us personally, you know, like it's true for guides as well. You make such lasting friendships and relationships in the backcountry. There's something magical. I think that's the gifts of wilderness therapy or just being in the outdoors. I think like even before I got into wilderness therapy, just as a guide and in leadership programs I've been enrolled in, some of those friends I've made, I'm still in touch with so many of them. And granted, like we're all around the globe, and some of us are starting to slow down and figure some other options, but generally speaking, like they're just such solid, relations because you have the best stories. I remember when we were having our staff ups and the jungle in Costa Rica, and when we have our staffs, switch out days, and we would come back with stories, and it like there's nothing like it. It's just such a unique tribe. And so it sounds like you're really with the night meetings, the morning meetings, the alumni. It's kind of like that same idea of winners. Like we've both seen students come in with not full buy-in. They don't really know what to expect. I don't blame them for being a little bit apprehensive, but who do they see? They see some really supportive guides when they come in, and they see peers, their own age, with their own kind of issues, with similar experiences in a lot of ways. And they're saying, hey, you know what? Like you're getting to this now. You may not be in love with it, but just do the process, do the program, see how you feel in 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and then 12 weeks. They're the leader, and they're having like an exiting graduation, like a ceremony, for example. And I think like with the alumni calls, that's like the same idea. It's like now it's on the other side. Now it's transitioning back home, and it's like we still have that framework, right? We still have that a semblance of that wilderness model where we're just building that culture. And so why not have the culture on the other end? So thanks so much for sharing, Jack. This has been so awesome. Is there, I don't know, anything else you want to add that you didn't get a chance to add, or anything you want to finish with?
Yeah, just kind of your last point made me think of a couple things, and we do see how powerful it is for the new students in groups in wilderness therapy to then become the older students, and then become the more senior, experienced students who will then go from getting the advice from other students to sharing it with others. And that's such a powerful thing that I think we've seen time and time again, and that we really try to promote on our platform here is to have the more experienced students and members communicate their experiences, what worked and what didn't work, and that way we can watch these newer students kind of grow in and become those leaders for the future. Yeah, and the final point is just kind of, yeah, just reiterating, from experience, even personally, I know kind of leaving different experiential education courses, long 90-day courses, leaving them, and as soon as you leave and go home, it can feel very lonely and tough because you have just kind of left this group that you've spent so long with. And we really just want to fill that void and provide these students a platform for them to reach out and talk to like-minded people and talk to people who have shared their experience and can really learn from each other. And that's what we're trying to do. And hopefully we can turn this into a big platform that everyone will want to be on and kind of participate in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think it's super cool, and I think between the two of us, we know that there's so many features. There's a lot of stuff that we're building out, and we're excited for this adventure and we're really open to getting feedback from our own members and what is going to serve them, what they need. And, doing that through polls and surveys and questionnaires and, our nightly meetings, so to speak. Like we have an intentional culture, just like we did when we're, around the campfire in wilderness. And so it's kind of that same idea. And I think that's super cool because at the end of the day, we want them to have autonomy, to them to take kind of control of their culture, so to speak, with guidance, with it being managed to make sure it is safe, right? Kind of a similar role that we did when we were in, the wilderness programs. And so, Jack Sweeney, Culture and Community Director, thank you so much. And thanks so much for being on, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks, Mark.
All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, see you, man.